Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Roaming Prepper channel. I'm your host, Pete, and I want to go back to my normal situation report format. For those of you who are new, and I got quite a few new followers who are now following me across multiple platforms. The way we do it is it's a compilation of public venue, if you will, media, government releases, and corporate releases, all of which should be public. If I can't tell you it's public or I can't make it public, then I just won't mention it, or I may briefly mention the headline and walk from it. Normally I do include my references or where the source was, so you can do your own investigation. It will go alphabetically by regions of the world, broken down kind of like, Southeast Asia, Europe, etc. And then alphabetically that way, and then alphabetically by country within those areas. So with no further ado, I'm going to start with the, and that's the wrong report. Okay, there we go. Starting again. Ta-da. So, Africa, Burundi's ruling party wins every seat in poll as rivals say democracy is killed. This is according to BBC. The ruling party in Burundi has won all 100 seats in a parliamentary election that the opposition says has killed democracy in the Central African state. There are a lot of issues in Central Africa, including Senegal, the Congo, Sudan. I don't know if these are being instigated internally or if foreign players, China, Russia, US, Europe, have a hand in it, but some of them are getting very nasty, and a lot of them are around places where you can get those rare earth minerals, as well as the normal gold, silver, diamonds kind of thing. So we need to watch that, because countries like that are very interesting, and they can quickly become a place where you suddenly have like American proxies and Chinese proxies suddenly getting into a fight. So we'll watch that one. Kenya, police fire tear gas on crowds protesting Kenya blogger's death while in custody. This is from Al Jazeera. Protesters took to the street of Kenya's capital, Nairobi, to express their fury over the death of a blogger arrested by police last week, as the country's police watchdog reported that 20 people had died in custody over the last 4 months. Sounds like they do have a problem. He probably may have said something about the government and had an incident in his prison cell. Mali, Assimi Goïta could soon be president until 2030 without an election, according to Africa News. Assimi Goïta, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, has been president of the transitional government since 28 May of 2021, but now he is likely to continue his role until at least 2030 without ever having been elected by the Malian population. I don't know how he is doing that. I believe he's manipulating the system, but again, this is one of those partial details, and let me see what the report says in general, because that's interesting. You notice there's a lot of government manipulations. Oops, hold on. It says, on Wednesday, the Malian Council of Ministers approved a law that would see his mandate extended until at least 2030, making it renewable. So basically, Goïta would continue heading the government without having been elected by voters. Goïta and the military junta initially committed to return power to civil society by the end of 2024, but political elections have not taken place. So basically he was part of a junta, and he made the law such that they can't kick him out. Okay, so that's it for Africa. Moving to East Asia and the Pacific. China, severe tropical storm heads for southern China after toppling trees on Hainan Island. This is according to AP News. Authorities evacuated thousands of people, closed schools, and canceled flights Friday as a severe tropical storm dumped heavy rain on parts of China, Hainan's island, and headed for the country's southern coast. Now, an interesting point to note, not specific to this, a lot of people are like, China will invade Taiwan. That region has a lot of bad weather. It's kind of like the Normandy invasion, right? Even though the distance between England and Normandy was not big, it's the same with China and Taiwan. It's not a significant distance as far as navigation, but the weather and the seas are horrendous. And so China actually only has certain windows throughout the year where they can go and jump in on that and effectively try to fight with Taiwan. If they miss that window and then they try an amphibious assault, they actually risk having those invasion barges flip over in the water. So it's just an interesting segue to this. This is just a report about a tropical storm or a cyclone, but it's interesting to understand these things, because when they say, oh, China's going to invade Taiwan, and they keep saying it over and over the whole freaking year, the truth of the matter is there may be 3 or 4 times a year where that would effectively work without them capsizing the damn landing crafts trying to cross the river, or cross the sea or ocean at that point. So just important thing to know. India, Thailand. Air India flight makes emergency landing in Thailand after bomb threat. No devices found. An Air India flight from Phuket bound for New Delhi received an onboard bomb threat on Friday. They made an emergency landing back on the Thai island, airport authorities said. As you all know, I believe it was an Air India plane had crashed, literally stalled on takeoff. I heard that it might be sabotage. I can't confirm or deny that from the stories I found. So if I dig in and I find something more interesting behind the original crash of the Air India plane, I will let you guys know. That was it for that part of the world. Moving on to Europe. 3 suspects detained in Poland as suspicion of planning a far-right attack, according to the Associated Press. Polish security services have detained 3 men who were planning to attack and who appeared to be inspired by far-right perpetrators of mass killing. So that's kind of a weird way they worded that. In any case, somebody was about to lash out and they were arrested. Now, for the record, Poland has had very strict immigration policies, unlike the rest of the EU. Poland and Hungary decided, you guys can keep your mass immigration. We refuse to allow it. They do allow migration. They do allow people to seek asylum, but there's a very, very stringent process. And yeah, basically, this is kind of surprising to me because they're already kind of a far-right country in general. But anyway, I digress. Spanish PM sorry for corruption scandal as opposition demands resignation. This is from the BBC. Sanchez, who had led Spain since 2018, so there was no such thing as zero corruption, as he sought to put distance between himself and the affair, ruling out early elections. So as always, you know, not an instability issue. They're having politics as general in the West. Moving on, Middle East, and this is where it gets fun. So after Israel strikes Iran, airlines divert flights, airspace closed. This is according to Arab News. Airlines cleared out of the airspace over Israel, Iran, and Iraq early on Friday after Israel launched attacks on targets in Iran. Flight Radar 24 data showed with carriers scrambling to divert and cancel flights to keep passengers and crews safe. When you have that many things in the air, we saw it happen in Ukraine with the Malaysia flight. Someone's going to mistake something for something else, and you're going to get a shoot down or you're going to get some kind of other incident. So definitely a smart move on the airlines. If you have travel in that area, highly recommend going to Dubai or Saudi or Egypt. Don't go anywhere near those countries. I wouldn't go near Lebanon or Syria either. That's just going to be a hot mess. Israel attacks Iran's nuclear missile sites with explosions heard across Tehran. This is Arab News. Israel attacked Iran's capital early Friday. We all already been watching that, and strikes that targeted the country's nuclear program killed at least 2 top military officials, raising the potential for an all-out war between the 2 Middle East adversaries. Not bueno at all. And I'll do some more footage and coverage. I've been trying to do short video clips. If you guys hadn't noticed, I'll go into another Israel-Iran discussion later. South and Central Asia, India. Investigators search for Air India crash site for evidence and more victims. AP News. Investigators searched the site of one of India's worst aviation disasters, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with the lone surviving passenger Friday, a day after an Air India flight fell from the sky and killed 241 people aboard. That just blows my mind. It looked like he stalled, but you would think, like, if you were the pilot, you'd know how to fix that. I don't know what happened. Maybe an engine failure. We'll find out eventually, but yeah, unfortunate. Moving on to the Western Hemisphere, Bolivia. Bolivia anti-government protests turn deadly as tensions rise, according to Reuters. Clashes between anti-government protesters and authorities in Bolivia have left at least 4 first responders dead, according to the country's justice minister. Brazil's Lula grows more unpopular in Brazil as approval dips to 28%. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has grown more unpopular in June, pollster Datafolha said on Thursday, as government approval rating dipped and disapproval rose. I believe Lula was a former convict who is also a socialist. I don't remember. He's not a good guy, and clearly he's not keeping his word, so the people are pissed now. Moving on. Canada, world leaders may face wildfire smoke at Canada G7 summit. World leaders may face smoke warnings when they gather next week in Alberta, Canada, as wildfires burned out of control across much of Canada and caused the country's second worst fire season in decades. Moving on to Mexico, protesting teachers take over Chichen Itza and other archaeological sites. According to the Mexico Daily News, hundreds of teachers from the National Coordination of Education Workers, in Spanish CNTE, have escalated their protest movement in Yucatan this week, taking over the Chichen Itza archaeological site on Wednesday. And moving on to Peru. Peru weighs sending foreign prisoners to El Salvador. Peru is weighing sending what it considers highly dangerous foreign inmates to prisons in El Salvador, potentially following in the footsteps of U.S. deportations of migrants to the Central American nation. I should qualify that the migrants being sent to El Salvador's CCOT prison are actually anyone who is on the FBI or Interpol watch lists and has been convicted of a felony, is committed a past crime and is wanted for it, or has been on the run. If you don't have a record, they don't just send you to CCOT because you're like an illegal car washer. You have to be a nasty son of a bitch to be sent there, so just be aware of that. Then Ireland, just a few side notes. Ireland is having a lot of riots. These are what they're calling anti-immigration because of recent assaults on females in the country being done by migrants who are not being properly vetted. And Ireland, the Irish movement, is threatening to restart the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, and basically run them out and overthrow their own government in Ireland. So we'll see how that goes. That's been a very big contentious point for the folks over there. If any of you have any other insight, feel free to put them in the comments below. And I'm looking for anything else. I think that's it, folks, for this one. The weather alert in China, planned demonstrations in Tokyo, but it doesn't say for what. Papua New Guinea, security alert, the U.S. Embassy, increase of criminal activity, gang activity in the city. Really nothing for most of us to worry about. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this situation report. As always, as I've told all of you, please be sure to plan your trips. Make sure you've done your homework, know what everything from the weather to the criminal activity will be at your destination. Looking at the weather at home makes no sense if you're flying 2 to 8 hours away. Make sure you know what you're getting into, ranging from clothing to having cash to knowing where the hospitals are, right? Because you never know. It doesn't have to be the apocalypse. People fall downstairs or get hit by cars all the time by accident, and it's good to know what's going on. Anyway, folks, guys, be safe out there. Be careful. As of right now, there are no other official No Kings protests planned. That's pretty much a done deal. That's it. Move on with your summer. Prepare accordingly. Remember, hurricane season is underway. So if you live in those regions, never a bad idea to stock up on what you may need if you have to hunker down in a storm. Till next time, God bless, Godspeed. Thanks for joining me. I will see you guys on the next video. Take care.